Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Kind of an unusual night to come out in a January, but
So is that. Sorry.
that's okay.
There we go.
Having everybody here in January for a town hall meeting is kind of a little bit of a challenge, I know, for everybody, but what we're going to be going through tonight was been a lot of hard work, effort, a lot of hours been put into creating a presentation for our members and our owners to understand a lot of what our board is working on. Last September, we laid out a plan and a vision and ultimately had Frank do a strategy that allows us to kind of possibly look at where we're going as a club. So tonight, we're going to lay out a vision, and I want to make sure we're clear on that. There's a vision that we're planning for that will allow you to see the vision, ultimately ask questions after we're all done, but ultimately start our process moving forward. I think probably the most important part is that we're truly going to start doing something, and we're asking for the support of our membership to do that. So first of all, I'd like to introduce our board of directors for 2020, if you wouldn't mind if they could all stand. Sorry about that, guys. Gotcha. This is your 2020 board, and honestly, very pleased to work with them. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement of where we're going. Also, I'd like to recognize our general manager, Bob Chrisman, and his whole staff and his management team for our club. I'm going to do my best to kind of ad-lib. I'm not a great speaker, but I'm going to do the best I can. But here's where we're at. Tonight, our plan is to follow our presentation from last September. We have spent countless hours to develop a future landscape for Blythefield Country Club. We are very excited tonight to lay out a vision and a capital structure that will actually allow us all as members to have an opportunity to look at where we are today and how we're going to bridge tomorrow and the future. Our agenda for tonight has a lot of moving parts with a lot of future vision. So we ask, if you could, wait till the end, write down your notes or just keep them, and ask those questions at the end, because I think it will fully tie in when we're done with our presentation to be able to answer some of those questions that you might have here tonight for all of us. I'm not going to stay up here much because I got a lot to do later in the presentation, so I'm going to, number one, go into our agenda for the night. Oops, that's me, isn't it? Here we go. Anyways, Town Hall, special meeting, and agenda. We're going to touch base on our 2019 summary. We're going to talk about future vision of Blythefield. We're going to talk about our golf course master plan. We're going to talk about our capital planning, and then we're going to talk about our voting procedures, and then we're going to open up to questions and answers. From here, I'm actually going to turn it over to Doug Hendrickson. He's actually going to come up, do a full summary of 2019, and then I will see you in a little bit. Thanks, Doug.
Good evening, everybody. So we're just going to kind of summarize the year, and we actually had a great year. On the September 12th meeting, we went through August 31, and we said we're on track to beat the budget. And we stayed on track to do that. So if you look at the numbers, and we're just getting the highlights here, but if you look at our membership over 2,000, if you go down to the bottom of the slide, so we had 319 members ending the year. Last year we had 328 members. So all these numbers reflect the fact that we actually had less members to do it with. So we were able to, our net decrease in assets, we had budgeted 286 negative. 2018, we're actually negative 253,000. This year, pretty monster difference, $52,000. We were still negative. And where some of these improvements we saw over 2018, if you look at food and beverage, 179,000 negative, 39,000 positive. That's a huge difference. And kudos to our chef, Chad, who not only has delivered outstanding food, in my opinion, but also is running it like a business. And he has brought our cost of goods sold down from about 55% down to around 37%. So that's why that number's like that. Also, in the golf operations, we made $59,000 in 2018. This year, $175,000. Juan's done a fabulous job. Again, cost of goods sold has come down from the low 80% down to the mid 70%. So he's done a great job, and we're pretty excited about the direction of that. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going into detail on that, but all in all, quite pleased. This is our debt structure. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit, but the long-term debt was paid down by about $242,000. Current debt actually went up. Some of that is attributable to how we track current liabilities, and that has to do with some of the Meyer money that has come in and how it's booked. And there's actually 6 different entry or columns in the current liability section, each one having a number of subsections as to how that was arrived at. But I'm not going to get into it tonight, but the Meyer money actually had a fair amount to do with it. Total liabilities is slightly reduced. So again, did that with actually less members. So as a club, our performance, and again, hats off to our management and led by Mr. Chrisman, who's done an outstanding job. I think we've had a great year. So with that, I'm actually going to bring Jack back up because he loves to talk up here. And he's going to go through the future view.
Thanks, Doug. All right, I didn't expect to come back up that fast, Doug. Anyways, all right, so from September, those who were available to come and watch and see what Frank presented, we have spent and created a lot of vision and started our ability to try to figure out how to generate capital, but ultimately our ability to grow membership. So we have 2 different challenges in there. We have our ability to grow membership, which didn't happen, and ultimately to drive capital, which actually could help fund some of our needs and where we're going as a club. So as you can see from the financials, we're just able to currently break even on our P&L with no growth in membership and no ability to raise capital. Last year, we did a complete reserve study. That was done. We presented that in September. That reserve study showed that they did a full assessment of all assets we have and ultimately showed that we're probably well overdue for investing back into our assets. They've given us a structure that is about $300,000 to $400,000 a year back into capital for the next 5 years. So without a plan, we have to be able to address that as owners of our club. From our presentation in September, we identified through Frank all of our amenities are not at a sufficient level. Truthfully, a large number of our amenities are well past their prime. Our pool is average at best. Hard to compete with an average pool in a high-end club. Our fitness and wellness center is not good. Our 2 tennis courts are not in good shape. Our golf building is starting to fail. We currently have, today, 14 different leaks in our roof. We ultimately have a boiler that's about ready to puke. Our prized possession, and everybody that I've ever talked to at Blythefield Country Club, our true prized possession, our golf course, has had not any capital put back into its golf course in over 20 years. Our bunkers are in bad shape, our tee boxes are not level, and our cart paths are broken in lots of different places. As I identify these challenges at a club, I don't want to be the bearing of bad news. So I'm truly up here for one reason. I'm here to create a vision. We as a board have spent a lot of time identifying our opportunities and truly creating a vision going forward. So how do we do that? And that's where I'm at today. I'm actually very excited. I'm pleased to present where we're going to go with this future vision of Blythefield Country Club. Now, what I would ask is if you have questions, there is going to be stuff here that is going to we're going to kind of go, wow. But please wait so we can answer those questions at the end. And if you don't feel comfortable in that type of setting to ask those questions, you're more than welcome to come up and ask us at the end of the presentation. Future vision of Blythefield. First of all, one of the things that I'm pretty proud of is the increased relationship and the increased financial commitment from Meyer. I signed an agreement with them in December that allows our relationship and our alignment with our relationship with Meyer to increase our tournament fees for over $1 million over the next 3 years. Now, the past 5 years, we've been working to build this relationship and this trust, and we as members should feel very proud, very, very proud of what we have done for all of our relationships with Meyer, but ultimately proud of who we are. We actually, I don't know if you saw it out front again, but we actually have 2 Golden Driver Awards again for our ability to put on a performance to our LPGA, which is voted by our LPGA players, of areas of how well we perform in the marketplace. So that's a sense of pride. I think that's really important that we point that out. So this alignment with them is ultimately going to drive $1 million to our golf course master plan. They've reviewed our master plan. They've seen our master plan. They love everything about their master plan. When we get graded at the end of the year by the LPGA, by how well we perform, the areas that come up are exactly what I pointed out earlier. Our sand traps are not good, and our tee boxes are not flat. Interesting, and we have a small range. So, moving forward, I think this is an important piece of the pie, is that we actually have this, they're committed to us, and truthfully, I believe that Meyer is committing to us, and I think it's our turn to commit to Meyer. And that's where I think this presentation will take us at the end of the night when you actually get done with the full presentation. Are we committed to work together to do some things from a capital perspective to look at the future and where we're going as a club? All right, future vision of Blythefield. Here comes the next one. Staggs Ridge residential development. So, there's been a lot of talk over the years. I've been here 25 years, and I can truly tell you that I've heard a bunch of scuttlebutt for a lot of years about certain things that we can do. This right here has been proposed to us as an idea to actually look at our property, take a look at what we have, and really what can we do with it that would enhance us, but ultimately help drive some capital back to our club. So, through this idea and where we are going, again, this is vision-oriented. I want to make sure I clarify myself. This is a vision. This isn't something that we're doing. The board hasn't made any decisions on this. This is a vision going forward as a club. And at the end of the day, we will present back to you as members, if we believe that this is the right thing to do, we'll present back for your approval to move forward with this vision. We believe with this Staggs Ridge residential development that we're able to bring home 77 different home sites or condominium sites. They're going to be all standalone condominiums. That's where we're sitting right now and thinking that that's where that's going. And it ultimately, through 77 sites, we'll be able to raise between $1.5 and $2 million of capital back to Blythefield Country Club over the next 5 years. With that, one of the most important parts of the 2 things I'm actually pointing out tonight. We're pointing out we don't have capital, but we're trying to drive capital. So here's a capital plan at the top of 1.5 to 2 million, but ultimately, I have a subcommittee that's actually been working with me on this, and what we've identified is how do we tie that? How do we take our land, how do we tie this back to membership? How can we grow our membership and actually ultimately help us grow here at Blythefield Country Club? And so what we actually found out is we can actually work inside of a condo association. The condo dues will actually take care of the social membership. So with 77 home sites, we can put through the condo association minimum 77 social memberships. That to us, if we're looking at this long term, We can't stay at 319 members. We have to grow if we're going to be able to afford some of the capital needs as we need. So with that, let me lay this out to you. I'll show you in picture form of what we're looking to do right now. So with this, you'll see we have identified, so everybody knows, here's where we are right now, okay? Down 1, over 2, here's 3, and then here's our dog leg 4, okay? The idea is that we'll call it Stag's Ridge, Stag's Run. Off the back side, on the right side of 4, we'll identify this portion of we actually think that this possibly could be done in about 5 different phases to be able to pull this off over 5 years. So we have this as an opportunity of all standalone condominiums. We have another section here on the right side of number 5 on the tee box that overlooks this ridge. It's absolutely beautiful. From that spot right there, you can see downtown Grand Rapids. And then, ultimately, as we were looking through and trying to figure out how can we use our land to be able to help us in this capital need, in this capital plan, we kind of started talking about, okay, this is a whole nother piece of the pie that we'll talk about on the second part of my discussion tonight. Ultimately, this is to the left side of number 10, going all the way over by number 11. And this is right here. If Stag's runs here, this is Stag's Ridge over here, and this beautiful ridge is on our property overlooking downtown or down through this whole valley. So the idea is that we could actually possibly put in 22 new units over here that we could actually make work for us from a capital perspective. This is probably the hardest piece that we're actually talking about, and we've been working on this over the last 4 to 5 months. But this piece is a piece of property we currently own. Not sure. We really are kind of battling this, if we can actually pull this off and get 10 more units off of this ridge, and off this, actually, this is our old tennis court that's in here, and ultimately goes in here, and actually this is the residential piece that we looked at. So with that being said, this property that we're not using, and it's something we can get value out of today, but ultimately looking forward, it's something we can actually drive some capital forward with us. All right. That's point 1, point 2, and here comes point 3. This one will be very interesting to discuss tonight. Future vision of Blythefield Country Club. A joint venture with Thousand Oaks on a recreational pool and fitness center. So a lot of scuttlebutt at Blythefield has been said about Thousand Oaks over the years. Well, we're not interested, but what we have decided is that we'll start talking about things that might work for both of us. So with this being said, we've identified an opportunity to have a joint venture with Thousand Oaks on a recreational pool and fitness center. Now, if you go back to September and you listen to what Frank said and what Frank laid out, now, Frank is an expert in our field. I'm not an expert in our field. I have no way to even think that any one of us 9 board members have any sense of being an expert in the private club field. But what he did point out to us is the memberships that are actually investing in the millennials and what the need is to bring in new membership is where the strength and how they're actually growing their membership. So from that being said, they're investing in the pool facilities. They're investing in the recreational centers. They're investing in all these things that allow us to go back and pull in new members and grow our younger membership, which today, I don't know if our membership understands this. Our current under 40 membership is at 9%. Nationally, the average is 23%. So that resonates to me. And I sit here and think, how do we actually incorporate a plan to be able to build that side of the membership? Because we're going to have fall off on the top end. We need to build back the other end on the lower age levels. So going to this joint venture, let's talk about this for a quick second. Interesting, this joint venture is an affiliate with us and Thousand Oaks. So we're clear on this. And I want to make sure everybody hears this really clear. This is ours and Thousand Oaks, not any of their affiliations. None of their affiliations have any use of this property other than the current members that are at Thousand Oaks will have the ability to use this facility. So it'll be a joint venture together to use this facility. With this facility, our intentions are the intention of this is to build a state-of-the-art facility with a complete aquatic center, a 9,000 square foot fitness center, a wellness center with programming such as yoga and Pilates, and ultimately, this is the property so everybody can see. Here's your Stags, I believe that was Run. It was Stags Ridge up here on top. Currently, I believe, actually, I don't think Ron's here tonight, but currently, this is Ron DeSharm's property down below, and he has an agreement with the Thousand Oaks Group to buy that, and he has to go through all the proper approvals to do this. So their intention is to build this, and it's building right next to our property, which is right here. So legitimately, how do we work this out where it makes the most sense? Currently, you know, our pool structure is average at best, but truly, their vision and what we have met with them on and went through many meetings so far, they want to put in a full splash area for the kids. They want a full aquatic center right here, which has got all the swim laps, all the area for a cabana. They also want to have a 9,000 square foot fitness center, which I already explained. They're going to have pickleball, and then we've kind of since this drawing came out, we've actually kind of gotten rid of beach volleyball, and we're actually going to platform tennis. So, with that being said, inside of this facility, we'll have a complete cabana restaurant-style bar with complete bar services, food services, simulators, and big screen TVs. This investment is going to be made. That investment is going to be made. We found a way as a group is to partner ourselves and actually do a joint venture between the two of us that allows both of us to use this facility and not open it up to anybody else. They have 310 members. We have 319 members. Combined, it's a perfect situation to be able to let that stand alone and allow the memberships to grow together. Now, again, this is vision. We're at the vision standpoint. We're not ready to launch this to our membership for them to say yay or nay. We will, in the next 2 months, pull this off and have a plan to bring back to the membership to have their approval that this is the right thing for us to do. Candidly, I believe, and I say this, and I kind of wrote it down, Frank laid out the plan for us last September, and we didn't have a plan to be able to go forward. I believe, in my opinion, after having all these discussions, I believe this facility will be better than any other facility in West Michigan. I truly believe it will allow us to market ourselves at the highest level against our competition. Currently, we are not competing at the highest level of our competition in the marketplace. So with this vision and with this plan, it will be state-of-the-art. It will be brand new. It'll be very exciting. There's been questions of a few people that have actually know about this. Yes, our intention is to take this cart path and go all the way to our clubhouse, which our clubhouse is right there. And so we'll be able to bring that all the way down and still have accessibility to all of our use down below. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions on that. We'll do the best we can to answer them. We're just kind of in vision platform right now. We're there, yeah, that we'll talk about that later tonight, but yes, that's a done deal. All right. So that was a little bit of an interesting piece that I wanted to make sure that we got touched on. One of the things you will see here, if you can see this right here, this is our current maintenance. We actually have reviewed where our current maintenance is on our property today and said, okay, what would it be if we actually found a different way to be able to do this, which ultimately drives capital out there, ultimately not intruding on our golf course, but ultimately rebuilding right here, and ideally, and we've talked to Colin. Collins actually thinks this is great. There's a little road that comes here, comes right on in. We can give him a brand new facility. He can actually take this road. It goes right out here like this, goes right into 12, and goes right on into our golf course. Ultimately, it also helps with the maintenance of what's happening here, and it can also tie in up to the top. So it actually has a pretty good, well thought out plan of what we're trying to accomplish from a maintenance perspective. Future vision of Blythefield. Here's where I believe that kind of, if we can move our vision to reality and grow our membership and capital funding forward, we can truly bring a new clubhouse to reality. This vision will allow to have a banquet center that will hold 350 people, which today we can only hold 230. We lose out on the opportunity to be able to host a large wedding, and ultimately we're stuck in these walls. Not that I don't like these walls, this is very beautiful, but the facts are we're missing something here. Our ability to see the valley, all that hedgerow is in the way, the ability to go out here and actually have a true, beautiful view that we actually can sell and ultimately have a 350-person event, we're not there. This gives us a different place in the marketplace to be able to offer that. Ultimately, a new pro shop. Ultimately, new locker rooms. And, truthfully, a brand new kitchen. A kitchen that can actually support growth and support new members as we grow our business. Our current kitchen, truthfully, can barely keep up on a Friday or Thursday night when we're busy. And we're not overly busy. So when I look at this and I kind of say, here's a vision. Can we get there? What's it going to take? How can we truly knock down the golf building and ultimately not have to spend money and put Band-Aids on that? Ultimately get rid of our pool that's not sufficient anyways. Have a parking lot that makes a lot of sense. And ultimately create a vision that allows us to get excited about a long-term plan for Blythefield. I got to be honest with you. I can't picture anything more exciting to me as a member in the 26 years I've been here than opportunities to pull this off and be able to pull this off together. So, please understand, the last two are strictly in vision. In visions that we'll be working on diligently in the very short term to see if they actually can come forward as a reality. Our objective is truly to actually bring them forward and do something that actually allows us as members to have a sense of pride of where we are. I'm going to actually step down now from my spot. I think I've actually had plenty of time up here, and I'm actually going to introduce Tim Coster. He's going to lay out our golf course master plan for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Everyone, good evening. Send a new guy up after all that, right? So I tell you what, as a new board member and as one of that 9% who falls under the under 40 category, this is a pretty exciting time. The board has been hard at work. Every single one of these individuals has put a lot of time in. But Jack and Doug specifically, the amount of time that they've dedicated to this club, we all owe them a debt of gratitude. We're truly lucky to have some leaders who are volunteering their time to be here and put in the hard work to bring developments like this to the club. So thank you both. So I have the job of discussing the plan of action that we have the ability to move forward on today, right? We've talked about some new and exciting potential ventures. But the golf course master plan is what's in front of us today and what we're here tonight to really discuss whether or not we want to move forward. And I think as we work through this, you're going to see a $3.2 million total cost on this master plan. That number is going to look differently as we bring Doug back up here. The golf course master plan was created out of a subcommittee of members back in 2017. We won't get into every single detail of that master plan. That's been out for a number of years. It's been on our website. Hopefully you've reviewed it. But from a high level, this master plan, we're going to replace the bunkers. So you'll no longer have an excuse for that poor bunker shot because you hit the boulder or you hit a rock. We'll have brand new state-of-the-art Billy bunker system. The tees, we've all had those tee shots where all of a sudden the ball seems to be a foot above your feet. We're going to level, reconstruct the tee boxes. The greens, we're going to add a drainage system to all the greens. This is key and this is important because it not only improves the longevity of our greens for the future and avoid a potential total rebuild, which if you think through that, that's a large undertaking, more dollars, more time where we're not on our golf course. This drainage system extends the life of our greens. It allows Colin to be able to water our greens throughout the season to improve consistency, speed, the health of our greens. It's a big topic. It's a key incentive to this program. The greens will also be expanded back to our original size, back to the original design. You know, year after year they've shrunk as the greens have been maintained. Those will be expanded back. And Jack's talked about the cart path improvements. If we move to the next slide, you've seen the high-level overview of again, what the master plan includes, all of the details. We're not going to spend our time going into every single detail because this master plan's been on the table for a number of years. Looking at the timeline, if the membership approves moving forward with the funding of the master plan, the front 9 would remain open for play, but starting in August, the back 9 would be closed and construction would begin. So we'd get through the Blue Blazer. Leagues would continue through August. They'd have to be spread over some additional dates, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would be league nights, so matches would have to be scheduled accordingly. Starting after Labor Day, September, full course construction would begin, so all 18 holes would be shut down at that time. Spring of 2020, the course would reopen. In that $3.2 million figure, we did build in a $200,000 loss of revenue from the course being shut down partially in August and then fully September and October. The clubhouse and practice range would remain open during construction. These beautiful new simulators, if you haven't got a chance to check those out, those would be available as well. And again, if we proceed and hopefully approve this in the near future, we would work with local clubs as far as starting programs where members could continue to play golf during the months that the course was shut down for construction. You know, again, just as a younger member at the club, I've been involved from the finance committee for a number of years. We're turning the ship. We're heading in the right direction. But there's still change that needs to happen. There's still improvement that needs to happen. And to me, this is the first step. And I think as we bring Doug back up to talk through, you know, the capital funding of this project, it takes a commitment on our part, but we've got a great partner in Meyer who's willing to commit to this. We have some additional other resources who are willing to commit to this. And so it's whether or not we're all willing to stand up and do our part. So with that, I'll bring Doug back up, and he can walk us through the capital funding.
All right. So we're going to hit a few things here, and quite honestly, I can tell you, whoops, is that the right slide? Okay. Probably 4 or 5 months ago, I was wondering, how are we going to do this? I don't know if you remember the Federal Express commercial from a few years ago. A guy said, can you be in Houston on Monday? Sure, I can do that. Can you be in New York on Tuesday? I can be there. Hawaii on Wednesday? Yep, I'll be there. And he hung up the phone and said, how am I going to be there? How am I going to do that? That's how I felt about 4 or 5 months ago. And then all of a sudden, piece by piece, this started to come together. And I just whispered Jack, I said, I really knew everything he was going to say. And as he's talking, I'm shaking because I'm getting excited about it because we truly feel like we brought a bunch of pieces together, and now we have a plan as to how we think we can get there. So the golf course master plan funding is a few different components. So the Meyer money we've already talked about, which is huge. Our relationship with Meyer is outstanding, and partnering with them is we're looking at $1 million coming in to help us accomplish that master plan. The second category, I want to open it up to anybody that would like to talk about this further to approach one of the board members, but specifically Jim Garlock, me, or Jack have really been working on this, and Jim's in charge of the strategic planning committee. But we have a number of members that love this club to the point that they are willing to give of funds of their own towards the betterment of the golf club. And we have several different categories, and this has actually been talked about before. We've heard about legacy funds before, and it really never gained a lot of traction. We have had very serious discussions with enough members. Jack and I and the board, we are highly confident. We think the number right now, we can say confidently, is about $500,000 that will come into the club from members out of their pocket, and what they will get is their name on a board in recognition. They receive nothing else. They don't get an extra vote. They don't get preferred tee times. They don't get to play with me. They don't get any of that. So we have different levels that we have up here. So platinum is going to be somebody that gives $100,000 plus. Again, this will be money to the club that's coming in. It is not paid back. It's like money that you would give to your favorite charity because you believe in that charity. This is money given to Blythefield because you believe in where we are going with the club. So that'd be a platinum level. The gold level is between $50,000 and $99,999. Silver is going to be $25,000 to $49,999, and bronze is $10,000 to $24,999. We have people that have committed in each one of these categories already. And we are hoping we might even get close to 750, but we could say comfortably we think we're at 500. That's a big piece of how we're funding this. And when we started the discussion on this, everybody's like, oh, who's really going to do that? What are they getting for it? They're getting a club to where we want this thing to go. We are going to move. I brought up to the Finance Committee and the board several months ago, and this came out of frustration working with banks. I don't know if anybody here has ever had frustration working with banks. I got a couple bankers raise their hand. One just retired. He was really frustrated. So anyway, so I brought up the idea of private funding. Private funding is basically what it says. Instead of going to commercial funding, a bank, we are going to go to people within the club that are willing to loan money to Blythefield, and they do receive something for this. So the previous category, we said it's out of love of the club, and they get a club. This category, there actually will be an interest paid just like we pay to the bank. Right now, our various loans are basically tied to LIBOR. The majority are 3.15% over LIBOR. So that puts us at a rate right now, it's about 4.85. It's a moving target. Last fall, when we're talking, it was actually a little bit higher than that. So we're at historic lows. One of our fears as interest rates move up, eventually, that we're going to get the brunt of that. We also have a number of these notes that are maturing. So 2022 in February, we have two of our largest notes that say, all right, pay the rest off. So we're taking proactive position on this, and we are going to go to the membership. We've actually already had at least one, and I think Jack has actually had a second person that said they'll take the whole thing. We are looking at raising $3.5 to $4 million. The board has actually approved us to look at 3.5. We're going to probably consider even going to $4 million that we would raise. It'd be a 7-year note. It's callable, meaning the club, if we get a better deal, we can call it out and say we want to pay you off. And it would be a fixed rate note. And we're going to look at doing something called a Dutch auction. And I'm not saying that because I'm Dutch, but that's what it's actually how treasury bills are sold every day in the market. It's on a Dutch auction. I can't even say it. Dutch auction. And I will explain that to you in further detail. So anybody interested, again, we already have a number of people that are interested. We would just as soon not be a single person. We would like to see that spread out amongst a number of members. We have a number of members that have already said I would be willing to do that. So what I want to do is get a meeting with those members, and we're going to go through an explanation of what it is, how the Dutch auction works, and at that time we'll put the funding together. Our goal is to have that done by the 1st of March, excuse me, and take out the debt. We would leave in place our operating line of credit, but we would, quite honestly, would probably be shopping as to where we would get that from. So we believe if we can get the private debt in place, and that is the single source of our long-term debt, and we're bringing a bank in position for just the operating line of credit of $1 million, they would be in first position, and the people that are taking on the long-term debt would be subordinate to that. That we might be able to get a better rate than what we're getting right now on our line of credit. So pretty excited about that. So the first three categories we think are huge components of how we're going to get to where we want to be. Now, you all are wondering, well, how can I participate in this too? So we're going to show you. We are going to ask for membership participation. Before I go through a bunch of numbers, which doesn't excite anybody, I want to give you a big picture. With the Meyer money coming in the other categories we have, if we, just for a second, ignore what Jack talked about with Thousand Oaks, the membership at the level we're looking at, $1,250,000 raising from all of you, is you are coming in at 40 cents on the dollar for what the whole project runs, $3.2 million. So you're getting a pretty good discount on the value. If you take into consideration what we're looking at with the pool and all that whole complex center that Jack went through in detail, that's probably about another $2.5, $2.75 million project. It's about $6 million that's being put into this club, of which you of the membership, we're asking you to participate at the tune of about 20% on that entire project. So we think you are getting tremendous value for the dollars that I'm going to present here. So a regular member, and I'm sure there'll be lots of questions about this, but after we get all said and done, we'll have Q&A. So a regular member, we're looking at one time. You can pay it up front, $5,760. I know the last time what they did was give a food credit, and what we're doing is saying that's the number. If you want to pay it over time, there'll be a 3-month note at 6% that you can do. What did I say? 3 month. No, we're going to 3 month. That bottom note, we're just kidding on the bottom. 3 year, sorry. Senior, 4610, and over 3 years, 140 a month, and on down the list. I won't go through each of them. And that would start, it would come out on your June statement, so payable in July. And what's the magic of that? That's when the project is looking at starting. That's when funds are going to be will be needed. So, okay. One of the main components of tonight is we want to vote, and we're voting on the funding of the master golf plan. So there's ballots in the back here. You can pick those up. We want to have everything in by February 11, and some might say, what's the rush? Well, the rush is this project needs to get underway, and we have contractors that are like, is this starting? Are we in? Where are we? Trying to get a contractor in this industry or any construction industry right now is difficult. And in the golf course construction business, it's not like there's 100 of them out there. It's a pretty limited field, and so we got some lined up, and Colin has definitely been in the loop on all this because we rely on his expertise. So by February 11, we would like to have those back, and they will be counted, and we'll immediately let you know what the result is. And Bob told me to ignore that last part of that. So with that, we'll bring Jack back up, and we're going to have a Q&A.
Well, let me finish real quick. I think, Doug, thank you. Tim, thank you. I think I just want to, in closing, I'd like to thank everyone that's been part of these meetings over the last 4.5 months. Truly, it's a dedication of time. It's a dedication to the love of this club. You know, we're paid the big bucks. We are. We really are. We're paid the big dollars. I mean this sincerely, that we've all put a lot of effort into this, and it goes without saying that we have to say thank you to those people. I mean, there's a lot of hours and a lot of thought. That whole idea and where we're going is truly visionary, but I'm excited. You know, I can't put it into words. We hope you can get as excited as we are. I mean, really and truly, you know, our club is 90 years old. Yeah. Chris is 90 as well. And that is just the best comment ever right there. But we truly believe, and I say this, we truly believe, we think we found a bridge forward to allow us to market ourselves differently, ultimately grow our membership, ultimately have something that we're very proud of. And so that future board of directors, future, not this board, but the future board of directors, have the ability to offer the best club in West Michigan. Not the best golf course, the true best club throughout that we were able to grow our membership, get excited about it. I can't begin to tell you, 26 years, this is the first thing. Doug said it best. We had no idea last fall, but it all came together, and it came together in pieces, and we're very excited to present this. We ask for your support. We hope that this doesn't scare you away. If we truly think we're scaring you away, then we would never have proposed it. We believe it's time to invest back into our club. You know, I wrote here as my last little bit. We are asking for your support on this capital call so we can start to do something rather than talk about it. I've been here a long time. There's a lot of members who have been here longer than me. We've done a lot of talking. So I only ask for your support, and I hope you like where we're going and how we as a board are working towards the vision and where we can be very successful in this marketplace. So I'll close with that. I'll ultimately have Doug come back up here so we can answer. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them, but there's a lot of questions, and we'll do the best we can to give you the answers. Make sure we understand something. 2 areas of this are vision. So, again, at the end of the day, thank you for your time. We look forward to your questions.
So back here we have one of our favorite bankers that wants to ask the first question. When I come around, you do please state your name. This is being This is being recorded. Will be online, so do state your name since you will not be on camera.
Rob Schuster. I'm a banker for one more day. I'm retiring tomorrow. But hey, Jack, first of all, you said you were not a good speaker. You were brilliant tonight. Oh, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Very, very, I love this club, and I love it even more after tonight. But I want to just say a couple things. One is, and Mike Rotelli is here, and Cindy Rotelli is here, but I just can't say enough about Meyer's support for Blythefield Country Club. It is very special. And Doug Meyer comes here a lot, and it's just amazing to me. So I don't know how we could pass up the support that Meyer has given us. I think that's just exceptional. No other club has that kind of support from a private company, and they do so much for our community as well. Just a fantastic organization. And the only other thing I was going to mention, 2 things. One is I think some of these ideas are brilliant. The joint venture with Thousand Oaks, I've talked to that group off and on over the years, and I just think that's a brilliant idea. I think it's phenomenal. And my only request is maybe we consider a zip line from the ridge down to the pool. I would use that. I think it'd be awesome. Erds and I together. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. That's awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Phillips.
Hi, Rick Phillips. A lot of very interesting things, and commend the board on their work on this. The joint venture, obviously there has to be some type of a capital participation or an ongoing financial participation from Blythefield into that. How does that work with the money we're looking at putting in place for the assessment and so forth? Or is there going to be another assessment for that? Or how is that funded? And what's the timeline on it?
Good question. Let me work into this one. The A word is just not part of my repertoire anymore. I want to address that right away. I just think we're in a capital position right now. We're looking for capital planning going forward for how we can actually have a plan to be successful. To answer your question of how is that going to work and what is that dollar amount, in discussions, Doug and I have been in these discussions with them, and we have reviewed plans and ultimately have identified how we're going to do it. They're going to spend the capital. It's already allotted to this plan. So they're in the process of going to the township for approval to actually get the land zoned differently, and they are going to do it for their membership regardless if we do it or not. But when we discussed it with them, and we have had 5 meetings, probably 5 different meetings to try to assess this for all of our members, what we have found is that they love the idea of having 600 members to support in a private high end, as high as we can go, so we can compete in the marketplace at the highest level. So from an outlay from our members to this, it's a commitment of our membership to their facility, and ultimately it should be seamless to us. We use our member number, it bills back through to us, everything will work the exact same way with no capital outlay. Did that answer your question? 2021.
I have the microphone.
Tell us who you are.
All right, I'm Shannon Phillips, aka Skippy. My question was, we know who owns one parcel of land. Who owns the other 2 parcels? Does Blythefield own both of those parcels, the other 2?
All of, you mean Stag's Ridge, Stag's Run?
Yeah, the
Yeah, that's all
Stags.
ours. That's
Okay.
all our
Well,
property.
The one that's down here,
That's ours as well.
and then the one back there.
That is all of ours.
Okay.
Mr. Wertz? I'm just curious. Hang on. Microphone name.
Jim Wertz. Just question, Jack, with the pool with Thousand Oaks here, they're doing it either way.
That is
I think
correct.
that would decimate our social membership if they did that. And are we going to pay them a monthly fee for participating in this?
Again, I want to make sure we don't get tied up into this too much. The facts really are is that we're in the preliminary stages of identifying all areas of how this can work together. But yes, that has been reviewed of how I'll be a joint venture in a lease arrangement for both us and them, that it's our facility to use as exclusive to us and exclusive to the Thousand Oaks members. That'll be captured in our lease arrangement.
Steve Workman.
Sorry, Steve, just
Go ahead,
want to follow up on that, Jim, is, when you look at our pool operation, it actually costs us a lot of money right now. So it's not a profit center at all. So we're measuring as what's the true cost of that pool operation compared to us putting money towards this operation. And we don't have those numbers identified yet, but we know that we are now foregoing not having to maintain this project and eventually probably replace it anyway. As we move towards Jack's outline that he had put together, that pool is going to have to go. We would have had to come up with that money, $1.5 million, $2 million, $2.5 million. Yeah, no, I'm not. I get that. So I'm answering it to you, but I'm saying it to everybody, obviously. So the amount of capital that saves us long term is huge. So there's a lot of factors. I just wanted to.
Steve Workman. Yeah, it's about time we reinvest in our golf course. Last thing I think we put in was a sprinkler system when Mark DeWitt was president. I'm guessing that was the 20-year notice. While we cut the grass every day, we have to improve it and continue to keep up. The only thing I missed in your whole presentation was the road to get from Blythefield to Rogue River, so we don't have to turn left. Okay? For all of us that have to turn left out of here, You're welcome. Thanks for the I'm not done yet. Boy, there's a short timer right here. The other thing is, and Rob made mention to it, while we appreciate the Meyer business, we've raised $5.2 million for our community. That's a lot of money. So, and by the way, we're looking for 1,200 volunteers. You all get the email from Emma, but if we can get 10% more out of here, we'll get real close to our goal of 1,200. We had 940 last year, so we appreciate your help. Thank you. And I'm serious on that road.
By one of the condos over here, you can turn right to get home.
Yeah. So Steve, one way to solve that issue, it dramatically reduces the problem if you leave around midnight. Okay? I've noticed that.
Hi, Michelle Essick. I think the use of the property for the condos is brilliant. My question is, will people that purchase the condos be required to have a social membership?
Absolutely. So
And
I
I
want to
don't
answer
know-
that as clean as I can possibly. If we're going to give up property, why wouldn't we tie it back to us? And that was the discussion we had. I actually do have a subcommittee that has helped me through this and discussed this with me. And the intention is what we have found, and Mike Wooldridge has verified it, is that we can tie it to social, we can't tie it to regular. So the intention is that it can come in through their condominium dues and actually ultimately come back through to us. And it's just a great opportunity for us to be able to grow our membership by selling each one of our pieces of property.
Right, and I don't know why they wouldn't want to. But
Agreed.
I'm sure you're going to get a lot of golf members doing that.
That'd be great.
Next.
Brent Rector. I introduced Jack to the club 25 or 6 years ago. One of the things that you talked about was getting rid of the existing golf building locker room and redoing it because it really needs it, and we all know that. Once you do that, you have more property there. Is there a timing for when that construction could take place so that the property where the pool is, the cart barn, that existing golf building, and potentially moving the first tee to the east so that we can get a better range?
That's a great question, Brent. I'll answer that. We have actually drawings of that already that we've been trying to plan and prepare for this. We have identified if this actually, we can create this into reality, the tee box on number 1 would move over approximately 35 yards, which would open up the range for another 14 spots. Meyer has been very much involved in that discussion. They would love to see everybody on one range rather than going across the street to go to Boulder Creek to warm up. So with that being said, that is a plan that we've actually looked at. It truly has to be down the road until we can drive this membership to the level where we can support and look at the vision of how we go that way and build this differently and ultimately go over there, fill in our pool, ultimately have a bigger parking lot, open up our range. One of the things that was not presented, I will give you a little bit of a snippet here. We're waiting on Meyer. We've had a great relationship with them. One of the things that Meyer has actually said to us as we drafted a plan to move forward from a capital perspective, their concerns, golf course, that's their primary, is what they're putting out to the LPGA. Number 2, the driving range. And truthfully, the putting green. And currently, they believe our putting green is too small. And so we actually do have in our bid today on the golf course master plan an ability to grow our putting green 2/3 larger than it is currently today. And we have a price for that. We took it back to them because they actually said, we would like to see that done in tandem with this project. So they're willing to consider it. I think it's really one of the most important parts of discussion tonight is, are we willing to grow with them and ultimately help us in our vision and planning to go forward? if they're willing to do all these things, I think us as members should be pretty excited about that. I can't imagine walking away from $1 million. Actually, it's another $100,000 for the putting green, so it's really walking away from $1.1 million of opportunity that we can put right back into our club and be very proud that we will have the best golf course. I mean, I bring clients out, I bring friends out. I love this. Everybody who's here loves this, but when you really look at it, we need this. We need this opportunity to enhance this and make it a better, more efficient. Colin is frustrated with it. He does a great job, but why make him frustrated when we have this opportunity? That's where I'm at. Any other questions?
Jeff Clark. First question is, what is the savings for Colin? If we do the master plan with all the additional improvements, I presume that he'll see some monetary value to that in terms of labor for bunkers, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, I'm going to do my best on this. This is actually in the finance world, but in my understanding, from Colin's perspective, if he took labor away from this whole project and didn't have to spend the time addressing every one of our bunkers consistently, week in and week out, he says it's anywhere between $180,000 and $200,000 worth of labor savings to manage our bunkers. Annually, I think our budget is $800,000.
Just over 8, yes.
Yeah, just over $800,000 is our total budget for our Greens Committee, our Greens Group.
Exciting times. We have one more.
I'm sorry. Jim Wertz again. February 11th is the deadline for all votes?
Yeah, it is.
What is the threshold number for approval?
Oh, what is our threshold?
Is it
I mean,
51?
by bylaws, it's 51%. I'm not so sure that our board would actually make that a judgment on that. I mean, that's pretty tight. If we're only at 51%, we're going to have to take a step back on this project.
Tom Sprick, it being part of the golf committee over the last few years, or excuse me, Green Committee, I know that Colin's equipment is also in disrepair. All of his mowers, all the things that he uses out on the course. So is that part of that golf course master plan to replace some of that equipment? Because I know that that's a real big concern for him as well, just not the bunker situations, but everything else.
I'm going to do my best on that one. So in the reserve study, what is actually pulled out to us is actually the failure or kind of that time frame for his equipment to be failing for us to replace it. We did replace 2 pieces last year, and ultimately every year we keep replacing certain what I call direct capital needs, and I believe last year we allocated about 240, am I right? About $240,000 worth of capital went directly out to different areas of our club to be able to support those break and fix things and those needs. So that will keep going. That's why I say when we talk about what we need, it's $300 for the next, it's $300,000 to $400,000 for the next 5 years to bring everything back to the right standard.
Needs to be recorded.
David Lund, young kids, club, everything that you talked about, been on the finance committee for the last 3 years, had no idea this was coming, absolutely blown away. Kudos, kudos, kudos to everybody who's put the work into this. And the demographics of this club, having really dug into that over the last 2 or 3 years, this hits the mark. The sustainability, that 9% under 40, we've got to have those members coming through. And the churn, when you take a look at the churn of the social members that we lose people, you know, once their kids start to get to middle school, they start to get busy. This joint venture, killer. So super statement of support, no questions, great job.
Anything else? Oh, got one right there.
The plan for site condos, along number 10. I think some of us would be very interested to know how much that affects the view in the golf course. Many of you probably haven't seen the original plan for Blythefield from the year before it began being built. But in 1927, the club had a plan from Langford and Moreau that had lots for houses along that ridge. I don't object to it because it's historical Langford and Moreau, but I would not want to lose the feeling of privacy that we have on the golf course on number 10 and number 11. I don't see any problem on the area number 4 and 5 because that's far enough away and can be screened. But I don't know there's enough property around number 10 to screen it so that we have the serenity of the privacy we have in the back 9.
And that's an opinion, right, Brent? That's not a question, correct? Okay, so let me jump on the opinion of that. I believe that there's a lot of members that are going to see this 2 different ways. That maybe encroaching on our golf course, having some structures or having some condos near it would maybe take away a little bit of what we have today. I totally agree. I totally understand. I love our privacy. But the facts really are what they are. We have to look at what our opportunities are without coming into the inside of our golf course and see what we can do to help drive a plan. So I'm not finding fault with that. I will say to you that it will be addressed in a subcommittee that will actually review this and see if it's the right vision and it's the right plan to move forward with before we even bring it to the membership. Our anticipated plan is to bring this to our membership after the board sees the recommendation and approves the recommendation in March. We anticipate bringing this to the membership if we are able to come up with a plan that actually will ask for your approval to move forward with this residential development. Well, I don't see any more hands. I just want to thank everybody for making the effort. Thank you tonight.
So
and we will adjourn.
As you leave, you can pick up your proxy ballots from the ladies in the back of the room. For those that haven't seen the simulators, Dave is here to fire those up so you can take a look at how the